My daughter was 32 years old, and she was killed on August 26, 2009. She had a flat tire, had pulled into the breakdown lane. A retired state trooper had pulled in front of her, so she wasn't as far off the road. She was on the grass, she was in the breakdown lane, but she wasn't as far off the road as she should have been. And they looked in her trunk, made sure she had a spare, and then the trooper, the ex-trooper, walked up the passenger side of her car. She came around the back side to go get in the driver's side, and this truck passed a vehicle and swerved into the breakdown lane and struck her with the bulldozer blade and cut her in two and threw her body in front of her car. When I was talking to my grandson at her funeral and I'm trying to comfort him that she was killed instantly and didn't know what was happening, he looked at me horrified and said, "Graham, that's not true. I was watching out the window, and she tried to get out of the way of the truck and get up against the car, and then all this yucky stuff went all over the windows and I couldn't see her anymore." The driver at the time said that he was not speeding, that he was in the right-hand lane and couldn't move over because there was another vehicle in the left-hand lane, and that she stepped into the travel lane. Witnesses came forward the next day who had seen it and contradicted all of that. The vehicle, one vehicle had been in front of the truck, saw her long enough to mention on how pretty her skirt was. The other vehicle had his cruise control set at 75, and this truck passed him and pulled in front of him, and for whatever reason started to swerve back out to the left, and which brought the trailer in and hit my daughter and came so close to losing the children because it took the mirror off the driver's side of my daughter's car. And he got a $45 misdemeanor fine for not having enough chains on his bulldozer. Accidents happen, but this was so traumatic. And so I was talking to her on the phone when it happened. 5 minutes before, when she got the flat tire, we were on the phone, and the last thing I said to her is, "I love you, baby, be safe, call me when you get back on the road." And she said, "I love you, Mom, I'll call you." And the next call I got was telling me that she had been killed. Kristen was a redhead, fiery redhead temperament, which meant she felt life vibrantly. And when she was mad, she was mad. And when she was happy, she was happy. She loved to wear skirts. She hardly ever wore pants. She was a girly girl. Her favorite color was pink. And she loved skirts because she could twirl and make them swirl out around her. And matter of fact, on her stone, it says "twirling through heaven." If he had had an escort vehicle because he had a wide load and this bulldozer blade was hanging over the side of the trailer, he had the wide load sign, he had the permits, he had the flags, but he didn't have an escort vehicle. Had he had an escort vehicle, he more than likely would not have been speeding, because there would have been a second set of eyes working for the company that probably would have prevented him from doing that. Maybe not, but more than likely it wouldn't have happened. I'd like to see, legislation that says when you have, whatever you're hauling is not confined within the confines of your trailer, and then you need an escort vehicle. All he needed to do was stay in his own lane. My daughter would be alive if he hadn't been speeding. If he had stayed in his own lane, Kristen would be here today, and my grandchildren would have a mother.